Jeremiah this week. Jeremiah is my buddy. If Jeremiah was alive, he and I would be eating French fries together at McDonald's. Boy, here I'm trying to delay because I got to find this verse. In Jeremiah chapter. Oh, I probably won't be able to find it. I got it underlined in my Utter Bible down in my secret office that nobody knows where it is. Jeremiah talks about God is really upset with the prophets because he said, you're prophesying by Baal. In other words, you're letting Baal write all your sermons for you. You're prophesying by Baal so that you're going to bring your people to worship not God, but Baal. They talk about a labyrinth being a walking, a sacred path, and the 7 circuits. Here it is moving into the church, the labyrinth at Mill Creek Christian Church. The divine is available and accessible to us, not by our seeking it outside of ourselves, but by our going within. We go deeper and deeper within until we come to the point, the center point, at which we encounter truth. That's like, well, half man, half bull. At which we encounter all that is. Churches, building, labyrinths. Here is First United Methodist Church with a little triquetra, 3-strand DNA symbol. That's Daniel chapter 2. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And because you already have 2 strands of DNA, and they're going to add a 3rd one to it. We are pleased to offer this ancient spiritual tool to the community. We invite, look at this, we invite all traditions to discover much abundance, wholeness, and creativity on the labyrinth. And you can go and you can sit in and walk their little labyrinth and find the God that's half man, half bull in the center. Somebody sent me this, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Now, I will say that the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America has not been the bastion for fundamental theology or lifestyles in this country. But those without discernment can be deceived from a lot of places. I'm still chewing French fries here. And here's their article. They have a magazine called Lutheran Woman. And notice the cover is this woman walking a labyrinth. She is walking to the center to find the God that's half man, half bull, Baal. Okay? And so the article is Speaking with God Conversation Tools. And this is about prayer. The article says, often we talk about prayer only as our petitions to God. Our relationship with God assumes a two-way conversation in which we listen as well as speak. And so this whole idea is that you listen to God, not by reading the Scripture. I mean, that's stupid. Who would do that? But by listening to the God that's at the center point. The half-man, half-bull God that's in the center of you. So the article says, walk a sacred path. Labyrinths are found in many religious traditions around the world. That's clue number one, that you shouldn't be doing it. God said, learn not the way of the heathen. He said, don't do that. The labyrinth began to be used for Christian prayer in medieval times. Numerous cathedrals in Europe have prayer labyrinths embedded into their floors. The Cathedral of Chartres in France has one of the most famous prayer labyrinths dating from around 1220. To medieval Christians, the labyrinth symbolized a Christian path through life towards death and new life. For those who could not make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, walking a cathedral labyrinth served as a substitute. Today, the labyrinth is being rediscovered by Christians for contemplation and prayer. Here it is. The 11-circuit labyrinth is a frequently used design. In other words, you walk this path of 11 circuits to find the center. Now, here's the interesting part about all this, because that is biblical, because we have a beast, and he has 7 heads, but he has 10 horns. So the 10 horns represent, let me see if I have a scripture here. The 10 horns represent the 10 kings of the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel, the 10 toes, the 10 kings. The 10 horns represent that, and in Revelation chapter 17 it says these work with the beast. And so we have the 10 kings plus the beast. That makes 11. And so they're all joined together. And you know what? I saw this the other day, and I'm going, well, now that makes sense. Now, here is the Statue of Liberty, you know, the goddess, Mystery Babylon the Great. And I want you to notice this emblem that she's standing on. It has 10 small points and 1 large point. That's 11. By the way, she was the one looking over the events of September the 11th, 2001. A labyrinth are being used in cards game. There was a movie called The Labyrinth. And all of this has to do with winding your way down into the depths, down into the deep, down into the pit, where the God who is half man, half bull, the beast who's going to rise up one of these days, where that God is. And I want you to understand this whole concept of a pit, because this is not the blessing of God by you going down into a pit. This is the curse of God. Numbers chapter 16, but if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth, and swallow them up with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then you shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And I want you to get this. This is dealing with Korah, the gainsaying of Korah. This is a judgment. God is taking those who are provoking Him in these last days, and symbolically they are showing their own destruction by walking this labyrinth down into the pit. The earth, she, Mystery Babylon, remember this is the path of the goddess. She is opening her mouth to receive these people the same way it happened in the days of Korah. Numbers chapter 16, verse 32, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertain unto Korah, and all their goods, they and all that appertained to them, went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. See, this was a trap. And they all talk about, you know, you can go down there and then you come back out. This is a trap, because once they get down in there, they're not coming back out. Proverbs chapter 22, look at this. The mouth of a strange woman is a deep pit. He that is abhorred of the Lord shall fall therein. The judgment of God is that whether people are walking prayer labyrinths or doing contemplative prayer or doing this meditative yoga or whatever it is, or finding themselves and finding the God deep within them, is a trap. Those that are abhorred of the Lord are the ones who are falling down into the trap. Proverbs 23:27, for a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. Proverbs 26:27, whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. There's a group called the Rolling Stones. Makes sense now, doesn't it? Job 33, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things worketh God oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. At one time I was in a pit. I mean, I was pretty deep in it. You read through the book of Psalms, and that's what you'll see. David said, I was in the pit, the pit, the pit. He's talking about the pit. You probably were at a time in your life when you were down in the pit. And you didn't, you know, the God that was down there, you didn't want anything to do with. And God, just like Jesus when He ascended, He descended into the lower parts of the earth, and then He ascended upward. And by all this, by the power of God brings us out of the pit that we are in. But folks, all of this meditative nonsense and this stuff is all just, it's a substitution for the real gospel of Jesus Christ. Christ died to save mankind, and those who try to achieve godhood or who want to go to God without the cross of Jesus Christ are simply going to be led down into the pit. The earth is going to swallow them up, and they're not coming back out.